we talked about the different components that communicative competence has. We said we have grammatical competency, we have discourse competency, we have socio-cultural competency, and strategic competency. Who can explain what does it mean by grammatical? What do we mean by grammatical competency? What is a grammatical competency? Yes. In a brief, okay, in short, tell me. Yes, Nabel.
Yes, grammatical competency means to be able to recognize a sentence, label grammatical forms, including lexical items, vocabulary words, morphological items, smallest units of meaning,
So,
such as
so in short, what does it mean? It means what?
to be able to recognize sentences.
Sentences, grammatical sentences, grammar, words. Good.
Yes.
Thank you, Nabel. Number two, discourse competence or competency. What is discourse competency? Discourse competency. Yes, Betul.
نعم أستاذ. It means that the ability to interconnect a series of utterances, written or spoken, to form a meaningful text,
Yes.
letter or email, easy both top down.
Good.
Knowledge.
Good. Okay, thank you so much. We have cohesion and coherence. Who can tell me what is cohesion? What is coherence? عادي ما تقروا يعني ناخذ محاضرة شيلوها دبوها كيفكم طلاب عادي ما عندي مشكلة. اسمه حسن.
The duration of all the sentences or utterances in a text to single global proposition.
Okay, thank you, Nur Hassan. Who else can tell me about cohesion and coherence? What is the difference between them? What is the difference between cohesion and coherence? Hmm. Yes, Nourain.
According to Sandra Sorvigon, discourse competency also includes text coherence and cohesion. She defines coherence as the relative of all sentences or utterances in a text to single global proposition or topic. While coherence establishes a global meaning to topic, coherence provides the similar structural links between individual sentences.
Okay, thank you so much. We have number 3, socio-cultural competency. What does it mean? Yes, Sajjad Hadi.
نعم أستاذ. Which is ability to use English in social context and cultural wise. When do people complain? How often?
Okay, thank you. Yes, who else can tell me about this point? Others? Number 4, strategic competency. What does it mean, strategic competency? Strategic competency.
Yes.
Raise your hand. Batul. Yes, Batul Jawad.
نعم أستاذ. The ability to cope with breakdowns in communication to problem solve in failure contexts when a communication fails and to draw on a strict the help restore communication.
Okay, thank you so much. Kautar Jawad.
Adida,
Yes.
communicative competence includes strategy, competency, or the ability to cope with breakdowns in communication, to problem solve in similar contexts when communication fails, and to draw on strategies that help restore communication. Examples of such as strategies include knowing how to explain directions by the drawing map, knowing how to ask someone to repeat what she said in different words, paraphrasing to check understanding, and being able to guess the meaning of words from the context.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Today we have how do ESL teachers provide opportunities for students to communicate in English. Okay, how teachers, you will be teachers in the future. How can you provide opportunities for your students in order to communicate in English? Yes, some ESL classes are taught in a teacher-centered fashion. Remember this point, we talked about this point. We said that some classes are following this teacher-centered fashion. Remember teacher-centered fashion? What does it mean? When we say teacher-centered fashion. Remember? Teacher-centered fashion. Wake up. Wake up. We explain this. Explain it in detail. Okay. Teacher-centered fashion. Recall Yoshi classes. Yoshi's class. Okay. Yoshi's class is teacher-centered fashion. We talked about this. When we say it is teacher-centered fashion, it means the teacher is doing everything inside the classroom. The teacher is doing everything. Like Yoshi. What did Yoshi do inside the classroom? Here, this is the explanation of teacher-centered fashion. Interaction is dominated by the teacher. Dominated. And remember, we said that Yoshi dominates the class. He does everything inside the class. For example, gives lengthy explanations and lectures, draws repetitively, asks the majority of the questions, makes judgments about the student's answer. You see, all these are what are related to teacher-centered fashion. Here it is revision. We repeat it. هي عادة لا مو جديدة. However, to provide chances for students to gain communicative competence. Okay, we just finished with communicative competence. Other teachers see value in getting students involved in interacting English. Okay, so some teachers, in order to provide students chances, in order to provide them chance, okay, to gain communicative competence, to gain grammatical competency, it means to gain discourse competency, to gain socio-cultural competency, to gain strategic competency. What students have to be involved in interacting English. They have to be what? Involved. Okay, how to participate. You have to communicate, to talk in English. Just introduction. Some teachers who aim at having a communicative classroom. Okay, those teachers, they want a communicative classroom. Some teachers who want communicative classroom, their aim. Of course, you teacher, you as teacher, when you go to class, you have aim. عندك هدف غاية. What is your aim? If your aim to have communicative classroom, begin lessons with what little wood. هذا اسم شخص little wood. مو تروح الترجمة طلع حطب قليل. Okay. Calls someone pre-communicative activities. Pre-communicative activities. Very important this term. This term, when teachers or aim at having a communicative classroom, begin lessons with pre-communicative activities. What do they use with pre-communicative? You are studying grammar. Pre, it means before communicative activities. I have to drink water. So we said that we have pre-communicative activities. Pre-communicative activities. Some teachers whose aim is having communicative classroom begin lessons with pre-communicative activities. What are these pre-communicative activities? They use primarily with beginning. It is used with primarily, especially it is used with beginning and intermediate level students. Okay, those students beginning, the beginners and intermediate. مستواهم يكون level beginner. Those students who are beginner and their level is intermediate, beginning. You have to what? You have to start with the pre-communicative activities. Pre-communicative activities allow the teacher to isolate what does the teacher do when he or she follows the pre-communicative activities. It means that the teacher will be able to isolate specific elements of knowledge or skill that can both communicative ability, giving students opportunities to practice them without having to fully engage in communicating meaning. You see, like for example, when you start a conversation, when you start the dialogue, beginner, you give them chance to speak. You make them aware of specific elements of knowledge, skill. Littlewood discusses two types of pre-communicative activities. We have two types. What are these two types? We have two types. Structural and quasi-communicative. Structural, okay, and quasi-communicative. This is very important for you in the future when you want to teach. When you want to teach your students, you can follow pre-communicative activities if your students are beginner, okay, or intermediate. You can follow this this activity. So we have two types, structural and quasi-communicative. Structural activities from اسم من اسمها structure يعني شنو structure grammar يعني grammatical activities focus on the grammar and lexicon vocabulary of English. Very easy. Structural. So at the beginning with beginner students you have to focus on grammar and vocabulary words, while quasi-communicative activities focus on how the language is used to communicate meaning. See, two things you have to focus on when following pre-communicative activities. Number one, structural. Number two, quasi-communicative. Structure means grammar, words, vocabularies, and quasi means how can they communicate, how can they talk, how can they use language. Quasi-communicative activities are often in the form of dialogues, conversation. You see how they speak. Of course, when they want to use language, they can use it. And when they want to make dialogue, you have to make dialogues, conversation between students, or simple activities in which students interact under highly content. Okay, or other situations. For example, when you want to ask about something and you want your students to speak in, for example, in English. This is what we mean by pre-communicative activities. Here we have example illustrations يعني توضيح معناته examples. Illustrations of these two types of pre-communicative activities in a beginning level class I observe in Hungary are provided. Okay, beginning level. The teacher's goal. What is the teacher's goal? The teacher's aim was to teach students how to ask about food likes and dislikes. Okay, in the future when you will be teachers, you have what aim for every lesson. Every lesson you have aim. For example, I have aim. For example, for when I teach you, for example, morphine. My aim is to make you aware, to make you know that we have what? We have word and part of word. Word or part of word. We have morphine. This is morphine. These are we have two types of morphine, free and bound morphine. This is my aim. Okay. So here the teacher's aim, according to the book, to ask about food likes and dislikes. The teacher first taught a grammatical item and then جاي يتبع هنا the structural activity. The use of the auxiliary verb do when used in a yes/no question. This is a structural activity. You see, she began by giving several examples, such as you like to eat. Do you like to eat? Okay. هذا شرح يعني مبسط أكثر، تفهمتوها بعد ما يحتاج. نفس الشيء. She then led students in a vocabulary building activity, another structural activity. So we have two structural activities. She gives them what? She gives them grammatical rule, then vocabulary, in which she put large pictures of food items on the wall and marked them with the names of food items. She had written in big bold letters on separate pieces of paper. She gave students chances to read the names of food items, say them aloud as a whole class, and code the name while drawing their own pictures of each item. You see, this is pre-communicative activities. In order to work up to communicative activity, the teacher gave students the sample pre-communicative activity, handout below. Then the teacher held up a picture of each item. See, this is the explanation. Those are beginners. لأن المبتدئين مثلا ترسم لهم هاي شنو هو؟ خلي هنا fish. Okay. Pie. Bananas. See, ice cream. Do you like to eat cake? Apples. Toilet paper. You see? So here, the teacher makes association between words and pictures. This is what a pre-communicative activity. مخلص structural, give them a rule. The teacher gives them a rule about yes no question, or yes no would do yes no. Then words, pictures. This is structural. Then the teacher what? Handed out a dialogue that combined grammatical and vocabulary items and added a little new language. You see? Then dialogue. The teacher read the dialogue out loud, asked students to repeat it after her, and asked students to practice in pairs. You see? This is with beginners. Next, هذا يشرح لك واقع سوى الأستاذ هنا. What did the teacher do inside the classroom? Next, the teacher did another quasi-communicative activity. Proof? Another. What is this? By dividing students into pairs. Divide students into pairs, groups, and placing a set of pictures of different food items face down on their desks. The students took turns picking a picture from a pile and using a picture as a cue, asked each other about their likes and dislikes. The teacher included a few comical items يعني فكاهية بعض الكلمات فكاهية تكون such as a picture of soup and a few students made up their own comical items such as chicken ice cream, you see, to make fun inside the classroom. Not to make fun inside the class. Not the teacher is not making fun here. These are examples. Okay, so we have studied examples for structural and quasi-communicative activities. Some teachers follow up pre-communicative activities with what little would call communicative activities. Okay, we have also communicative activities. Very important in it مصطلحين pre-communicative activities and communicative activities. What is the difference? We'll see. To illustrate what communicative activities are and how they are used to follow pre-communicative activities, let's turn to my observation on food items and preferences. After the structural and quasi-communicative activities and reviewing basic letter writing formatting, the teacher asks the students to write short letters to the students in one of her other classes. Although the teacher encourages the students to ask themselves freely, so here the students can express themselves freely, can talk. There are many other possible examples of pre-communicative and communicative activities teachers can have. The students do in classrooms. And I provide more examples here in chapter 118. The point here is that as teachers, we can create lessons that get students involved in communicating with the teacher and each other in meaningful ways in English. This is just a point. Okay? This is a point very important. This is generally speaking. And we as teachers, we have to create lessons that get students involved. We should what? We should give chance to students to be involved in communicating. They should interact, communicate, speak with each other. Even beginner, give them certain words, certain simple words to communicate. If you are teaching students, احنا لحد الآن قلنا teaching students يكونوا beginner intermediate. If you are teaching students beyond a basic level, it is okay to skip. Okay? يعني شلون skip؟ يعني تعوفه leave. Okay? عندك انت هذا يوم جاي students مالتك. شلون مرات تصير بالمعاهد يحدد لك مستوى ما يجي مثلا يجي مستواك عالي كلش ما يجيك يخليك مثلا مستوى اول ما يعطيك pre-communicative activities because you are good. So this institute teacher in this institute, the trainer advises you, for example, to go second level, third level, because your level is not basic. Your level advanced level. So they skip because you don't need to know, for example, the picture. This is cup. So skip. Okay, very important. If you are teaching students beyond the basic level, it is okay to skip the pre-communicated activities. So when you, for example, when you are inside the classroom, when you are teaching students, for example, and you feel that your students are very good, very, very good, okay, you can skip pre-communicative activities. You can use some of them. You can skip the rest of them, okay, and use other. What? We begin with communicative activities. See here, you have to begin. ذكرها جبتها بأخير السنة العام. قلت لهم if you are teaching students beyond the basic level it is okay to skip فراغ جبتها أو جبتها صح وخطأ لعبت بيها. If we begin with communicative activities, generally communicative activities, students can begin with a task. You see, شفت الديفرنس هنا؟ هناك different. Students can begin with tasks, but pre-communicative activities, you give them structural activities, grammar, vocabulary, then you give them chance to communicate in English. But here they can begin with tasks such as writing and producing their own play, giving oral and written presentation on topics they research through interviewing and library research, and solving problems in smaller groups. You see? It's clear now? This is communicative activities with level which is not basic, not beginner, upper, okay, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced level. You can what? Give them tasks, writing an email, for example, writing, producing play, producing poetry, producing something like that, giving oral and written presentation. They want to present something, okay, on different topics, solving a problem in smaller groups, how to solve a problem, for example. As students work on these tasks, their attention will sometimes shift to language use. For example, they might ask the meaning of a word, how to express an idea, but the thrust of the lesson is for students to communicate with teacher and each other in meaningful ways. Okay, I just take this, not a lot, just short, two papers. This is what we mean by we have pre-communicative activities and we have communicative activities. If your students are beginners, okay, start with the pre-communicative activities, teaching them grammar, teaching them vocabularies, give them chance to communicate, to practice, to speak English, for example. Okay. If your students are good, their level is great, advanced, upper, intermediate. In this case, you can skip pre-communicative activities. Don't waste your time with them because it is understandable. Okay, they know students, know grammar, know words. So try with communicative activities, which include what? Communicative activities include tasks, students writing, speaking, presenting something, solving problems, etc. Okay, I hope it's clear. You can summarize. سهلات يعني ممكن انت تلخصوهم تلقوا سهلات كلش. Do you have any question please? من عنده سؤال؟ لو واحد عنده لكم question, if you have any question you can ask.